What's up, everyone? Davey here, hoping you're all doing well. Mabo kinda sucks ass at explaining mechanics or just ways to utilize your repertoire. So, I want to go into detail about what you can do to better control, execute, and survive things like techs, raids, purifications, fahams, or however the fuck you pronounce it, theta, Krombas, and or Glenbierna. Pull up your pantalones, because in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the debuffs in the game and how to maximize your damage output. Because we all love seeing big numbers, right? Yeah, look at that shit. I'm so cool. Now, I won't talk about every debuff in the game. However, the debuffs I am going to talk about are the ones I use most and what I think most people use as well. They are all stackable, meaning you can use all of these in conjunction with one another. And I will be making this as cost effective as I can, meaning completely free from pets like go-karts and Serranus. I'll also give examples of debuff stacks you can do to maximize your damage output. So with all that said, let's start and talk about Deathmark. If you want to know more about crowd control and the power of Deathmark, or DM for short, I talk about it at length in my crowd control video. I'll link the video below, but now let's focus on the debuff side of DM. At Dan3, the Chainblade skill Deathmark will debuff a single target for 25% more damage. You could take this a step further and find yourself some Deathmark Reforged gloves. A level 20 Deathmark Amplification Reforge would net you another 5%, bringing a Dan3 DM to 30% more damage. Now, if Reforges seem daunting to you, there are plenty of free ones that are easily obtainable in the game. Maybe I'll make a video about that someday. But yeah, Deathmark is a staple for single target damage, and should always be applied when fighting bosses or something you need to do big damage to. So with DM out of the way, let's get into pets. People have been shitting on Mabi for its pet spam meta for years, and since pets are often associated with paying real money for them, I agree. I do not like it. However, what if I were to tell you can obtain several pets for free, including maybe two of the most important pets in the game: bone dragons and mer dragons. If you navigate to the info button in-game and click on the dungeon guide, find Advanced Math Dungeon, and complete this once, you'll receive a mer dragon whistle. And completing Veteran Pieka once will give you a bone dragon whistle, completely free. Bone dragons and mer dragons debuff targets physical defense by 15 each and protection by 10 each upon summon. It's a total of 30 defense and 20 protection. I suppose this would be a good time to explain defense and protection. The most basic way I can explain defense is 1 defense negates 1 damage. So if you have 10 defense, 0 protection, and get hit for 100 damage, the total damage dealt will be 90. And protection reduces the percentage of incoming damage on a scale. I'll link the wiki's prot scale in the description below. You can also hover over your protection stat in the character menu to see how much incoming damage is reduced. I'll note that protection is taken into account first over defense, so let's say that you are hit for 500 damage with 100 defense and 60 protection, which is 50% damage reduction. 50% of 500 is 250 minus 100, which will equal to 150 total damage done to you. It should also be noted that you can't go into negative numbers, so if you're using a weapon with piercing like a Blanded Lance, which ignores defense and protection, and the piercing goes past the defense and prot threshold of that target, you'll just hit that target with the assumption that there is 0 defense and protection. I think it would be safe to say that prioritizing protection is more important over defense, since it's a percentage of damage. And the same goes for getting rid of protection through debuffing. So with that said, let's talk about Brionac, obtained after completing Generation 11, and probably the most important physical protection reducer in the game. An activated Brionac sheds 3 protection with each hit. To activate a Brionac, You can either go into demigod form, or use the alchemic skill Shock on yourself. Depending on what you're fighting, a Brionaut can shed all the protection, or is limited to a certain amount. For instance, a raid boss can be shed of all of its protection in 40 hits. And the same goes for a purification boss, save it takes 60 hits to completely wipe out all the physical protection. Things like Irasan and Crom boss, or tech bosses, can only be shed for 20% of their prot. I'll link the wiki down below so you can see the numbers. Now that we've talked about Brionac's physical protection reduction capabilities, let's talk about the magical protection reduction with the equivalent of Brionac, the tech card Pragara, or PreG for short. PreG sheds 3 magic defense and protection with each hit. The major difference is you can use any weapon to proc PreG. The most popular options are Thunder for its continuous hits, Bulletstorm, which targets up to 9 enemies and hits a fuck ton of times, and Flame Burst with preferably a high level erg for the increased hit count. You can also use the demigod skill Fury of Light while using other skills for an added level of hits per second. I think it's also worth mentioning that bosses with a fixed limit they can be brioed and or pregged, there will be a message telling you that they have reached that limit. Speaking of tech cards like PreG, another top tier debuff that I think everyone should use is the tech card Fate Weaver. The tech card gives the player the ability to cast 1 or more buffs on themselves or allies, or to debuff an enemy on the bad guy side. A unique trait of Fate Weaver is utilizing certain combos to enhance yourself, friendlies, or to debuff a target. Since we were talking about debuffs, the combo 3152 placed on an enemy gives a reduction to the target's damage, speed, load times, and magical and physical defense and protection. In other words, 3152 every boss that you see. I'll link the wiki down below so you can see all the possible combos. Next is the Harmonic Saint skill, Pall of Ruination. It gives a devastating debuff with a generous area of effect. At rank 1, Pall of Ruination, or Pall for short, gives a 90 decrease to physical and magical defense, as well as 40 decrease to physical and magical protection. Pall also decreases the target's attack, casting, and movement speeds. The only caveat is the debuff lasts 10 seconds, so should be well timed to waste all your cooldowns during a Pall Ruination cast. Now for some of the more common debuffs in the game. There's the fighter skill Spinning Uppercut that has an 80% chance to literally break the target's physical armor by 33 defense and 10 protection. There's the ninja skill Smokescreen, which is an area of effect skill that affects all targets caught within its range for 30 seconds. Smokescreen is pretty neato because it's a complete debuff, meaning it affects both physical and magical defense and protection. There's the alchemic skill Hydra Transmutation, which lies down a constant stream of poison over an area, damaging and putting out a magical defense and protection debuff. The archer skill Support Shot, which increases the next melee hit to a target by 70%. This can be increased further with the Master title, and further still with the Bohemian set. And then there's the warrior skill Rage Impact, which increases the next melee hit by 50%. So now that I've listed all this shit, let's talk about some cool combos of debuffs you can do in this game. Now, all of these combos are usable as long as you have the skill sets and can be tailored if you have piercing gear or if you do not. Meaning, if you got a lot of piercing, you don't need to knock off as much prot. But I'll list these with the assumption that you're using 0 pierce. Let's start off with the Elemental Knight Gather combo. Go ahead and Smokescreen, Deathmark, Bone Dragon, Mer Dragon, Rage Impact, and then Dynavolt Smash. Here's an Ellie Knight single target combo. Go ahead and Brionac, and then Smokescreen, Bone Dragon, Mer Dragon, Deathmark. Use the Fate Weaver 3152, Rage Impact, Support Shot, and then Dynavolt Smash. For Time Shift Meteor, go ahead and Smokescreen, PreG, and or Pall of Ruination. Time Shift, and then spam Meteor. For debuffing when there are a lot of activated Frozen Kari and Crom, you can activate PreG, Deathmark, Bone Dragon to Mer-Dragon, or Pet Spam for the stun, while activating Fury of Light, Smokescreen, Hydra, and then Flame Burst. For general physical single target damage, go ahead and Brio, Bone Dragon, Mer-Dragon, Smokescreen, 3152, and then Deathmark. Holy fuck, that was a lot of information. I really hope that wasn't too overwhelming. I really hope this helps you out. Please let me know if this was too much. I'm trying to make these for new players or people that want to get into combat. Let me know if I got anything wrong, or if you have your own combos that you would like to share, or if you have any video suggestions. But yeah, I got more stuff coming, so I'll see you in the next one. Peace, everyone.